right after the sermon, an altar call was made. For those that wanted to be saved, come down. Look, don't worry about who's around. This is between you, your soul, and God. Yeah, that's God. That feeling that you've been feeling that's been piercing your heart. And as they stood, other folks stood too. Now, there must have been an altar call in the back, because that's where those other folks headed to. And it must have been held in the hallways of the foyer. And there must have been ministers back there waiting for them for prayer. And there must have been a pool in the back with water inside. And it must have been there for those other folks who wanted to be saved and baptized. It must have been. It had to be. Because see, when the altar call was made, those other folks started heading that way during the altar call. Just as soon as it was announced. And if on cue did these folks stand up and proceed to leave out, proceed to walk out. And if the altar call meant this missile was announced, that these other folks then gather their things to go, just as they've done so many times before during the altar call. Soon as the pastor opened the doors to the church, these folks stood up first to leave. Sometimes before then, like when the people start clapping, see, right then, to them, services came to an end. It was all irrelevant after that. Attention now turned to being the first ones out the seat. First to the back, first to the door. First to the door. Because that's what the altar call stood for to those other folks. It was just an early start to be the first one to depart. It had no relevance to them. To them, it was an insignificant event, which meant their presence to be present there was just irrelevant. Which meant that since it made no sense to sit in an insignificant event of no relevance, meant they could leave. When those with troubles dared to believe, they walked out. Disregarding the importance of what the altar call stood for, what the altar call was about. Took no thought as to what it must be like for those other folks who cried in need of help and searched for a glimpse of hope. No, it didn't bother them at all, of it. And it didn't matter that folks cried, and that some of those folks sat right by their sides with tears in their eyes, crying, dying inside. No, they would just tap them and say, excuse me, I'm trying to get by. I'm trying to leave. Quickly leave, exit, vacate, all before I got to beat these other folks out the door. I've got no time to take the amount of time it's going to take for me to wait for these folks to have a breakthrough. I can't wait. Plus, it takes too long, too. Why, that's an extra 15, 20 minutes more I just can't sit for. I only came to hear my pastor preach. Then I'm gone. That extra 10 to 15 minutes can be spent getting home. I only came to hear the unadulterated word of God being preached, and after that, I got a schedule to keep. So these other folks would leave. In no particular order at all, just during the altar call would they do this. Grab their things and their belongings and quickly head toward the back where the exit was at. And I often wondered about those who sat there in their chairs, crying with tears in their eyes, as they watched these other folks walk by. And I wondered about those who stood there desiring prayer, as they would look up and see those folks walk out that didn't care. And I wondered if it bothered them the way it bothered me, to see them leave in their time of need. I wondered if it hurt them or bothered them at all. I hope not. I hope they wouldn't stop them from making their way down to the altar. I hope they wouldn't falter and come down. I hope they wouldn't concern themselves with those other folks who, for whatever reason, just couldn't stick around. But you know what? Let them go. Let them leave. If God has you in a place where you dare to believe that He's there, then rise up from your chair, tears and all, and make your way down to the altar call.
Right. Yes. Come on, kid.
And if you're scared, I'll walk with you. Now, as far as those other folks' reasons for leaving, I don't know. Whatever their reasons are, that they simply had to go, are their reasons. But me, I'm staying. And I'll be praying with you. And while we're praying, I'll just be praying for those other folks too. God bless you.